All right, so I was not actually going to talk about this until the end, but because you opened up with that story, I mean, it's the perfect end to continue talking about this. So one of the stories that we were going to talk about tonight are the search warrants out of PA. Every once in a while, I hear people bring it up. Every once in a while, I hear people asking us to comment on it, go into it. We have literally, in any of our pre-recorded content, in any of our live content, have never gone through the Pennsylvania warrants. I think we have lightly touched on the things that were pulled out of his car. So we're going to go through this for our viewers. We have quite a lot of viewers that are not part of the YouTube true crime rotation of true crime creators. They have come to YouTube specifically for our content because they saw us on one of the podcast platforms, probably heard us talking about the true crime talk show and the fun and engagement, things like that. So they've came over. I've had so many comments. I couldn't even count them all that are like, hey, I'm new to YouTube. I came because I wanted to check it out, you know, and that's awesome. That's incredible.
It is awesome. But yeah, this is about the Kohberger arrest warrants in Pennsylvania, right? I don't think you ever said Kohberger.
Yeah. I was mansplaining, but this is in relation to the Bryan Kohberger case and Idaho 4 massacre, where Bryan Kohberger is currently under arrest and being held in a Latah County jail pending pretrial hearings and setting up for a trial. Well, as you guys know, or most of you know, and maybe you don't, and that's okay. Bryan Kohberger was going to school and living in Washington, and the crime happened 15 to 20 minutes away from his house. His family is originally from PA, Pennsylvania, and it was right around Christmas time, and he drove back to Pennsylvania with his dad. He was being followed along the way, unconfirmed currently, but being followed along the way by law enforcement. And they ended up arresting him and searching him at his parents' home. And this warrant is tied to that. So it's pretty interesting here. In the very first beginning part here, we have... and this is all one listing, and I'll probably honestly put this in comments just so you guys have a link to it. One link takes you to everything that happened in PA, essentially.
Nice. It's pretty nice, yeah.
Yeah, so it is Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, County of Monroe, application for search warrant and authorization. Then it gives a police incident number, and you guys will see it on the screen here. You can see the authorization stamp. It says the person of Bryan C. Kohberger. It has his date of birth, name and owner or occupant or possessor of said premises to be searched is Bryan C. Kohberger, criminal homicide, date of violation, warrant application approved by district attorney, DA file, and then it gives the numbers for such. So Court of Clerks, December 29th of 22, 4:54 p.m. This warrant shall be served as soon as practicable and may be served anytime during the day or night, but in no event later than 4:35 p.m. on December 31st. Interesting, right? So then we go into that one was application for search warrant and authorization. Then we go to return of service and inventory. And this is a very long document. I'm not going to go through everything. I'll just give you the headlines of it. And this is, I wish Idaho had their stuff like this. Like PA's got it together, baby, man. So this here is the return and service of inventory. It gives a breakdown. Rule 2002A, approval of search warrant application by attorney for Commonwealth. Rule 2004, person to serve warrant. Rule 2005, contents of search warrant. 2006, contents of application for search warrant. 2008, copy of warrant, receipt for seized property. And Rule 2009, return with inventory. Then we go into the receipt inventory here. It has the troopers who were the affiants and part of this. It has the 2015 white Hyundai Elantra with the registration number. And then receipt for the property in this. Date is 12/30/2022, 2015 Hyundai Elantra. Swabs, Ziploc bag with pink zipper, 7 quarters, plastic baggie with green zipper, 36 dimes, 32 nickels, 8 pennies, gloves, receipts, car insurance card, car registration, hiking boots, comfort in room key holder, and stay information. Tire iron, shovel, goggles, floor mats, reflective vest, used water bottles, wrench, door panel, seats and seat cushions, headrest, seat belt, visor, fiber, brake pedal, gas pedal, phone charger, band-aid, wrappers, maps, documents, seat belt, boot. Interesting, right? This list, after I was reading it again, is longer than I remember it. I don't remember like green zipper in a baggie, pink zipper in a baggie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. So let me see here. This one is important. This is what I wanted to highlight here. Hang on. Based on what we were talking about, where is that? Give me one sec here. Okay. So I'm going to read through this. This is the affidavit of probable cause. So your affiant is Trooper Justin Leary of Pennsylvania State Police, Stroudsburg Station Criminal Investigation Unit. Since 2009, I have served as a detective with the Lackawanna County District Attorney's Office, a special agent with the Pennsylvania Office of Attorney General, a task force officer with the Federal Bureau of Investigations, and currently as a trooper with the Pennsylvania State Police Troop and Vice Unit. Throughout my career, I have conducted hundreds of criminal investigations, including numerous homicide investigations. Your affiant is Trooper Bryan V. Knoll of the Pennsylvania State Police Troop and Criminal Investigation Assessment Officer. I have been employed with the Pennsylvania State Police since 2008 and assigned as a criminal investigator since 2012. I have been assigned as the Criminal Investigation Assessment Officer since 2019. Throughout my career, I have conducted hundreds of criminal investigations, including numerous homicide investigations. On Wednesday, December 28, 2022, the Pennsylvania State Police was requested to assist the Moscow Police Department, Moscow, Idaho, and Federal Bureau of Investigation with a homicide investigation, which occurred on Sunday, November 19, 2022. As part of this investigation, we reviewed reports and affidavits prepared by the Moscow Police Department, establishing probable cause for issuance of search warrants related to this investigation, which are included in this affidavit of probable cause as Exhibit A.
It's exactly what
Bam.
I said.
That's why I said that's super important. Like, I knew this was in here.
That's exactly what I said it was. I knew it.
Yeah, it's exactly what we've been saying the whole time, to just further disprove this question and theory of like, there must be so much more evidence, and that's not the real PCA. That's a made up one, so everyone can't see the real PCA. Well, I mean, you would have to have multiple states involved in that little game and play, and it's not. When you look into these documents, the entire PCA is on here with judge and legal signature, plus additional information around cell phones and technology.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it talks about the fact that they knew where Bryan was based on cell phone tracking December 12th, I think is what it says. They were already tracking him on December 12th.
Yeah, when he was leaving.
Yeah.
I knew it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but why does everyone say that?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's the 16th. It's the 16th, not the 12th.
Oh,
it's when he
okay.
got to his parents. So, yeah, it's right here. Furthermore, investigators began physical surveillance of the property and area of 119 Lambston Drive, Chestnut Hill Township, and in the early morning hours of Tuesday, December 27, 2022, observed Bryan Kohberger walking near this residence. Additionally, Kohberger's vehicle was observed entering the Indian Mountain Lakes development on December 16th of 2022. That's it, right? Was observed entering the Indian Mountain Lakes development on December 16th, 2022, and the vehicle is still believed to be on premises. So they were clearly either watching him or tracking him via cell phone on December 16th, therefore proving they were watching and or tracking him through Indiana. You know what I mean? They have evidence and saw him driving into his parents' home on December 16th.
Yeah.
What do we think? Would they had a cop car sitting there waiting? No, they were following him.
Yeah.
Come on. It's funny that that's such an argument. Like, no, they didn't know. They didn't know. No one was following him or whatever. It could just be a coincidence, dude. No way. That is not a coincidence. Something was going on and they lost him. And because they probably all felt like he was the killer, do you know how terrifying that could be, being a police officer, like playing the positive side of the police? You lost where a mass murderer is? What do you mean?
Right.
You know what I mean? So they probably put out a flag, stop this car. Just stop, hold him, right? And that's probably what we saw.
Yeah.
Because you know when he got pulled over, the cell phone cords were out. Do you think his phone could have died? And they were like, "Oh shoot, is this dude running?"
Maybe.
You know what I mean?
Was it plugged in when
it was? His cord was out. That's how we determined that they had iPhones. It was very clearly an iPhone cord. I'm pretty sure. I mean, I can't say anything with certainty without having it in front of my face, but I'm pretty dang sure there was an iPhone cord out.
Interesting. I mean, maybe that's why he got pulled over twice, was to slow him down even more.
Yeah, I agree.
Like pulling him over once didn't slow him down enough. Yeah. So they were like, just pull him over again.
Yeah. Yeah. Investigators are also monitoring Kohberger's cellular phone, which appears to be in the same vicinity of the residence. On Wednesday, December 28, 2022, while conducting surveillance, investigators observed Kohberger traveling throughout Monroe County and arriving back at his residence on Lambston Drive. Your affiants are requesting a search warrant to be issued for the search and seizure of all items listed in the items to be searched, along with forensic processing of all items. Additionally, based upon the serious and violent nature of these crimes, including risk of general public safety, your affiants are requesting a nighttime search warrant be issued to execute this search warrant at any time, and the affidavit of probable cause be sealed. Interesting. Right?
So is there a document above this that unseals this probable cause affidavit?
Nope.
Yeah, but clearly they're talking about the affidavit.
Yeah.
That we're literally reading.
So
that's why everybody thinks that the real PCA is sealed.
I don't know if that's specifically why.
That's what people kept citing. It's that there was a thing saying to have it sealed, but clearly they're talking about the document they're writing, and we're seeing it, so it's not sealed anymore.
Yeah. So this is time sensitive. So at this time, it needed to be sealed because the Exhibit A and PCA wasn't out in Idaho yet.
It wasn't public yet because Bryan Kohberger was not arrested yet.
Right. And that's why it was sealed, because the case is out of Idaho, not Pennsylvania. You know what I mean? And they wanted to be able to extradite and or get him to agree to the extradition. So they didn't want, you know, any possibility of any leaking of information getting back to him, changing anything or whatever. And I totally get that and understand that. That makes total and complete sense. So it's just interesting. It's interesting at the very end of this PCA how they talk about like the different electronic devices. It makes me wonder why there's such a heavy focus on electronic devices, because they literally go into and break down everything. And this is not part of the other PCA Exhibit A. This talks about, based on my experience or the experience of investigators trained in forensic technology, I provide the following. And then it talks about many electronic devices, particularly newer mobile devices and laptops, offer their users the ability to unlock the device through biometric features. So they're essentially asking to get the approval to force biometric unlock, whether it is fingerprint scanner, facial recognition, iris recognition, or anything in between. Then they go into a very detailed explanation of like, and you got me why. I have no idea why. Apple lost the home button years and years and years and years ago. Maybe Kohberger had an iPhone that had a home button. I don't really know, but
or like an iPad. Because people have theorized an iPad.
Maybe. I don't know. It just talks about in depth. If a device is equipped with a fingerprint scanner, a user may be able to lock the device through his or her fingerprints. The iPad needs to like align with the iPhone. They communicate and function simultaneously. So still, it would be very strange to have one and not the other. But maybe. I just don't know. It talks about the Touch ID sensor, often referred to as a home button, located at the bottom center of the front of the device. Then it goes into how facial recognition works with what is called a trusted face that only matches that user's facial characteristics. Then it talks about iris recognition. I mean, it really goes into in depth the details around this. So it makes me feel like they truly were leaning heavily on the technology side of this investigation. It's whether it ended up producing anything or not. Because again, it talks very specifically in here about triangulation.
Where?
Specifically triangulation, just how they requested the, what is it? Is it FCIL or FLCI or whatever, which is the location services and investigation into like it's ST. So it's strength, location, investigation, something. It's some 4 letters, and it's talking about the strength of connection with the phone to the tower. It's just legal terminology used. It's not something you see in like cell phone companies, but they're just requesting to have that data and strength comparison tests, things like that, so that they can create a triangulation map. But
oh, okay.
Yeah, it's interesting. The whole thing is very interesting. I mean, you think that this is the reason why people are questioning that PCA?
Yeah, I need to go back and watch one of the videos that I watched on it, and I don't remember who did it, so I'm going to have to go hunting again. But they literally showed a picture of it saying, and I remember it looking like that, like we request the probable cause affidavit or whatever to be sealed. And if I'm remembering right, they did say it was from another state, but I didn't understand things when I saw that the way I'm understanding them now. Right. And that I didn't get to see that whole document in that video and understand it all. Cause honestly, I haven't dug into the Pennsylvania stuff much. Not really. Like I've read the itemized list of everything they took and everything. But I didn't dig through them because I don't know. I just like everything important seems to be in Idaho. Like he was just picked up from there to go back over to Idaho, you know?
I get it.
So, but I mean, I think that there is value there. And yeah, I think that that's total BS. They're talking about the Pennsylvania probable cause affidavit. And it's not sealed anymore because we're reading it. Yeah. They literally cite Brett Payne's Exhibit A as their probable cause.
It's CSLI. It's the location. Yeah. CSLI. So on December 23rd, I was granted a search warrant for Kohberger's historical CSLI from June 23rd of 2022 to current prospective location information and pen register trap and trace on 8458 to aid in efforts to determine if Kohberger stalked any of the victims in this case prior to the offense. Interesting, right? And trap and trace is essentially giving them the ability to know who he called, when he called, and how he called. So
interesting.
Yeah.
You're saying this is Brett Payne's statement and this is different than the Idaho one?
No, I don't think it's different. I haven't put them side to side or anything like that, but I don't think it's different. I'm pretty sure it is the same, but I read all of this again just because while I was researching it, like, why not? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But one of the interesting pieces are it says in this PCA, and I didn't remember this. Did you know that they have in here that on the night of the 13th, so the night of the crime, they pulled the data for every phone connected to that tower?
Yeah, but I didn't like I do know that now that you say that. But what about it?
That's interesting. That is, again, another thing I would expect them to see, that for one reason or another, I missed it on the first 10 times I've read this. It's interesting because how did they come to Kohberger? He was not connected to that tower at that time.
At which time?
The night of the crime. They specifically pulled all phones connected to the tower that night of the crime. He was not connected to the tower. His phone was off.
Oh, gosh.
So again, that makes how they came to him even more of an interest. Because in the PCA, it states that it says, now we have evidence of the white car and the phone data. They don't even talk about the DNA. They say these two things got them to Kohberger. However, the cell phone doesn't make sense because one, triangulation in that area isn't reliable, and two, his phone was not connected to the tower during the time of the crime. It was not. His phone was off or unconnected.
It literally disconnected from any cell towers in Pullman. It never even crossed the border into Idaho.
Yeah.
It never connected to that tower. Now, it could have connected to that really big one that was south of Moscow way after the crime. But isn't that a bit odd that they would know that? Like, you're right. That's really weird.
Yeah, so here.
And they can't be precise enough to go back and see, like, historically of phones that were in that area. It has to be fog data science, dude. It has to be. It has to be fog data science.
That's what I'm thinking. And I'm thinking that they did all this research like without getting warrants. And I'm also thinking that that fog data science isn't as reliable as we might think it is. Otherwise, we wouldn't see all this gray mix mash stuff.
Well, because it's gray area and they might have had access to it because of the FBI or because of ISP, that they have a contract with fog data science. So they're like, here, we'll let you use this.
Because of what I've read again, I'm going to have to rip the heck out of the cell phone info again. Because look, as you guys know, when you're digging into an investigation, it is an onion. Something that stands out at you right now is going to be different next time you read it. And that's completely normal.
It's
investigators
like
know
book.
that. Investigators know that, and that's why they do things like, you know, placing all their photos and evidence up on the wall, because just being able to walk by it helps things connect. You know, there's this proven science experiment where if you learn something and then go to sleep, you are going to be better once you wake up, because your brain works on that new learning that you had while you were awake, and it fine tunes that. You know what I mean? But get this, okay? As part of this investigation, law enforcement obtained search warrants to determine cellular devices that utilize cellular towers in close proximity to the King Road residence on November 13th, 2022, between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. After determining that Kohberger was associated to both the 2015 white Elantra and 8458 phone, investigators reviewed these search warrant returns. A query of the 8458 phone in these returns did not show the 8458 phone utilizing cellular tower resources in close proximity to the King Road residence between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. Okay, so this is a double negative then. So this just says that he was not using the 8458 phone in that general area, but they're saying that they got to him because they used search warrants to determine cellular devices that utilize cellular towers in close proximity to the King Road residence.
In that time frame.
In that time frame. However, his phone was not one of them. This that I just read is total double negative, does not make sense.
Okay, so and then he goes on to infer, my experience as an officer is that, you know, people will turn off their phones to avoid, you know, law enforcement from catching on to them. But so before the cell phone stuff, do they say how they got to him?
Nope.
And
you know how? You know why?
What do you mean? Like,
you know how I can prove that? Because if they had already gotten to him, they would not
be doing a wide search
cellular
like that.
Devices that utilize towers in close proximity.
Yeah, because they literally just cast out a net to see every device,
every single device, and check them off.
Well, I mean, they should be doing that.
Agreed. I'm not complaining about that as long as they have a search warrant. I don't believe they have a proper search warrant, because you can't cast a net search warrant. Like, as you guys know, I worked in wireless for too long. I don't even want to tell you because I'm 29. But you can't call a cell phone company and say, hey, cell phone company, I'm with the police department and I have a search warrant for you to give me every single device connected to this tower from this time to this time. Nah, that's not how search warrants work.
So how does it work?
Search warrants are based off like personal direction, whereas companies are held liable to that information, and they can be held liable of just giving out random people's information. That's not how it works. So I think this is the cloud
Fog data
Fog
science.
data science.
Yeah, I have no idea what you just said, though, of how that's not how it works.
Okay, how does a search warrant work?
Huh?
How does a search warrant work?
Well, they establish probable cause, then they take that search warrant.
On what?
They establish probable cause with the judge.
Nope.
And the judge gives them...
Who?
Huh?
On what? On who?
The defendant.
Exactly.
Yeah, but they can do it because there was a crime committed.
No, they cannot just go to a cell phone company and say, give me every device that's connected to this tower. No, because they wouldn't have a warrant for that. Warrants are directed personally per person. They are not allowed to just be like, hey, tell me every name in this entire city. Let me break your privacy as a citizen. No, that's not how it works.
But they do that all the time where they get all the devices that were in an area at a time.
They do?
I thought so.
Where?
I thought so. Now I'm going to have to go looking into it more. I'm confused.
They don't. But that was super interesting as I was looking into this, you guys. Like, really interesting, because in one paragraph, we have a double negative where these two things don't exist. Why would you cast a net for every device if you already knew about Kohberger? If you already ran a warrant on his 8458 phone and knew it wasn't in the area because you didn't know about him. You didn't know about him.
I wonder what date they did that, because it doesn't say what date they did it.
Say what date they did it. This is just talking about so based on the information, this is just Bryan Kohberger's background.
Oh, okay.
And why they think his background is evidence of him being guilty.
Because of his Reddit survey?
Yep. But
I can't believe that's actually in there.
I'll read it one more time before we close this out. I was just blown away by all this, you guys. So as part of this investigation, law enforcement obtained search warrants to determine cellular devices that utilize cellular towers in close proximity to the King Road residence on November 13th, 2022, between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. After determining that Kohberger was associated to both the 2015 White Elantra and the 8458 phone, investigators reviewed these search warrant returns. So they were already on to Kohberger, they're claiming, and then they did this. Like, a query of the 8458 phone in these returns did not show the 8458 phone utilizing cellular tower resources in close proximity to the King Road residence between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make any sense. But, you know, if I'm missing something, you guys, what do I know? You know, I don't know much.
Is this a...
But we know a lot as a
collective. Yeah,
exactly. Thought Riot Podcast. We are all Thought Riot Podcast. And, you know, we make a lot of good progress on a lot of these inquiries, cases, the digging that we're doing because of all of us.
Yes, so, absolutely.
What am I missing here?
So are we getting a promise from you? We're going to have another banger cell phone video?
We can.
You just said you're going to.
Yeah. Look, I live by my life by undercommit and overdeliver.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
That is another one of my life mottos. Undercommit and overdeliver. But that is it for this case. And
so you're a commitment phobe?
No, I'm not a commitment phobe. I'm a success phobe.
That's not how you say that.
That sounds okay to me. But so anyway.
You're afraid of success?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Afraid of committing to success. But Anyways,
Okay.
we appreciate you guys, and let us know what you think.